Vilma Seymour, V-I-L-M-A, Seymour, S-E-Y-M-O-U-Y, M-O-U-R.
Okay. And what's the title that you'd like us to give you? I guess what organization are you speaking on behalf of?
The League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC. I'm with the Richmond Region LULAC Council.
And for those who don't know what LULAC is, would you mind explaining what does your organization do?
LULAC is an 88-year-old national organization with our mission of advancing the economic, educational, and the I don't remember. You're not live, are you?
No.
Okay. LULAC advances, the National LULAC advances the educational and economic attainment for the Latino community.
All right, so obviously, big day today regarding DACA. So, you've heard this announcement from, the White House. What's your initial reaction when you hear this?
My initial reaction and the only word that I can use to explain it, heartbreak, pain. It was expected, but we were hoping against hope that this White House would not, this administration would not revoke the opportunity for these amazing young people to work and get an education, which essentially is all DACA does. Just ensures undocumented students, people who came here under the age of 16 by their parents who, by the way, were willing to sacrifice everything to give their children opportunities to a better life. It's just heartbreaking. It does not make sense.
And march is getting ready to take place, in several minutes. Why did you feel like it was so important to come out here this evening?
Because DACA recipients have not only earned, but absolutely deserve the support of every voice to come out on their behalf, their right to an education. Just simple. This is not the time in our country, and especially not in RVA, to be a bystander. Whatever affects one affects us all. For example, when we talk about the economy, or you want to deport 800 plus DACA recipients. So did you know that DACA recipients contribute over $6 billion in taxes to our communities? You don't want to raise your taxes? You think that these people are here illegally, taking your jobs, taking your seat at any university? Do some homework. It's so untrue. For your child to get a seat in any school, you either have the GPA or legacy admission or athletic admission. The DACA recipients have to work at least 3 times as hard to accomplish that same GPA plus work to help support their family.
So, obviously, I know Congress has, there's like a 6-month grace period. Are you hopeful that anything could change within that 6-month amount of time?
Well, I am hopeful, and the one message, if anything, that I want to make sure gets out there is that vote, that's your voice. So for every congressman, every senator out there who is making promises to their constituents, you better really look at your entire community. You want the Latino support when it comes time for elections. campaigning, then I strongly recommend that now we need you. Our children need you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Just the most important thing, your voice needs to be heard, and it's heard at the polls, so vote. Anybody and everybody who feels outraged, please, this is the time. We need your voice now.
Anything you'd like to add?
So, Lana, the organizer, is over here. Can I bring her over?
Yes.
Day Martinez, LANAHEATH space DE space MARTINEZ.
All right, would you mind explaining what the title is like?
I'm the Welcoming All Coordinator of the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy.
All right, would you mind explaining what's getting ready to take place in the next few minutes?
Sure. It's really, this is a grassroots movement that's happening right here. The Interfaith Center made an event on Facebook, but the truth is that it was our members who are grassroots people who asked us to create an event and are the energy and power that you see here. Everybody who's here today is here to stand with our immigrant neighbors and brothers and sisters, our family and friends who are under attack. When Attorney General Jeff Sessions this morning rescinded DACA and announced the phase out, many of us immediately felt the impact on our neighborhoods. For me, some of my best friends are DACA holders, and they have small children the same as I do. So thinking about the risk to their families, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. This is cruel, but we also wanted to come together tonight to call on Congress to pass immigration reform. Currently, those who are barred from U.S. citizenship are barred by immigration bars that were put into place by the Clinton administration, and we need to roll back those immigration bars in order to open up access. What happens is anybody who is unauthorized, regardless of how you entered the country, for 6 months has an automatic 3-year bar that they have to spend outside of the country before applying for citizenship. And if you have been here for more than 1 year unauthorized, you have a 10-year bar citizenship. So we're here to call on Congress to address these issues for our dreamers, yes, but also for the larger immigrant community.
And by doing so, do you know any people? I mean, obviously I see a lot of signs, Dreamers Tour America. Do you know anybody personally affected by this?
I do. My husband spent 10 years undocumented, and he had a remedy to relief for his situation, so he's now a green card holder. But his best friends and his family, one of them are DACA holders, one of them has no path to relief, and several of our cousins are also DACA holders who are facing possibly being sent out of this country. And it's the only place they've ever known. One of them has been here since she was 2 months old. We're going to send her back to a country where she knows nobody, doesn't speak the language, and hasn't lived since she was 2 months old, when she's working and studying and has 2 small children. This just doesn't make sense.
Of course, a lot of people they say they come to America to, seek opportunity. What impact would you say, some of these dreamers have, not only on our country, but here in the state of Virginia?
Well, over 12,000 people in Virginia are DACA holders. So that's a considerable number of people in the Commonwealth that are affected by this decision. And all of these young people have to be either pursuing higher education or employed or both. So these are the most productive members of our society in economic terms, but also, they're calling for wider spread reform that helps their entire families and communities. So I think that we're seeing right now not only fear from those who are DACA holders, but also growing momentum and power at the base, pushing for widespread reform.
Anything else you'd like to add?
We need immigration reform. It's the only thing that makes sense for our country.
Yeah, I'm just going to get a shot of your goal. And it was your organization that put this rally on, correct?
Together with the Richmond Peace Education Center, yes.
My name is Montague Magruder. I am a candidate for the House of Delegates in Virginia in the 69th District, and I'm here to stand in solidarity with the people who are in opposition to Donald Trump and his administration's decision to end the DACA program, which has been crucial for a lot of immigrants who are trying to flee the oppression of United States foreign policy. I personally support making Virginia a sanctuary state to where every immigrant is protected from ICE raids and what have you, and would prohibit police departments across the state from cooperating with ICE. And that's an important protection because there are a lot of people here in Virginia, I believe about close to 50,000 people in Virginia that benefit from the DACA Act, or the DACA program, and I feel that it's important for us to protect those people, and especially when they're fleeing the result of United States foreign policy. When we look at what's happened in Colombia, when we look at what's happened in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and how the United States has interfered with the affairs of those countries and destabilized them, that it's obvious that those people are going to flee from their homeland, from the place they only knew, in order to seek refuge. And so we need to make sure that programs like the DACA program are kept in place so that those people can seek refuge regardless of what the circumstances are back in their home country.
What personally brings you out here tonight?
Well, because there are people out, because I strongly believe, like I said, I strongly believe that everybody deserves a place to live. Everybody deserves to have refuge from the acts of violence that have been committed against certain people in their homeland. Like Martin Luther King said once, that we are supposed to we're supposed to speak up for the victims of our nation, for the weak and the voiceless, and for those that this nation has called enemy. We've called Syrian immigrants enemy. We've called Mexicans enemy. We've called people from Iraq and Afghanistan, we call them terrorists. So we can't expect those people to just sit by and just continue to get bombed to death when they need a place to come to. And I believe we need to make Virginia a place to come to for everybody, and that means we make Virginia a state of sanctuary. And I stand in solidarity with the people here so that we can come to the General Assembly and put pressure on those who may be elected this November to establish a sanctuary state policy.
Shortly after, in support of the DACA students attending and assuring that their education and their lives would not be disrupted. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh. Is this based solely on race? Would you repeat? Oh. Is DACA based solely on race? You mind if I take this? So, DACA is an executive order which, signed by President Obama, was to protect undocumented students who arrived here under the age of 16. So, DACA protects them from deportation, and it also allows them access to a temporary Social Security number so they can work and they can get a driver's license. That is what's at stake. And many DACA recipients have gone on, have become doctors, have become engineers, you name it. They've all been, there's very many that are professionals, and not one has abused. There's no opportunity to abuse this privilege. And this is not only for Latinos, by the way. There's a large group of, for instance, populations who have overstayed their welcome, or their visas, not their welcome, their visas. So, and from many countries, Ireland among them, Asia, it doesn't matter. So no, race is not a factor.
Race is not a factor in the way that the legislation is written. However, we know that race is a factor in the way that it's applied. We know that when we look around tonight, we can see Richmond police here, and when there was a march on Monument Avenue that was the Women's March in Richmond, there were not police. And when there was a march for science, there was very little police presence. So we do know that race is a factor because of the way that people of color are profiled in our communities every day. And we know that when we look at the history of U.S. immigration policy, it started with the Chinese Exclusion Act, and then it moved into this thing called quotas. So each country could have like 3%. So if you had 1,000 Haitians living in the United States, then 3% of that number, which is 30 Haitians, could come to the United States each year. However, European countries were excluded from the quota system. So that's another example of the way that race has very prominently played in our immigration policy. If you look at the way people are classified by refugee or undocumented immigrant or asylum seeker, it definitely plays a role. So we do need to talk about how this is part of the white supremacist structure that we are all out to fight, right? This has been a big thing in Virginia and will continue to be until the people tear it down. I think we could take time for one more question or comment, and then we're going to go shut it down. Anybody? Who's ready to march?
I had a question. I'm Montague Magruder. I am running for the House of Delegates in the 69th District. Do you believe that immigrants will be better protected if Virginia were to establish a sanctuary state policy, which I wholeheartedly support?
So I work for a public policy organization. The question is, would Virginia be better protected if we had a state policy declaring us a sanctuary? And sure, we would be better protected, but let's look at what's happened in the state. We have what's called the Dillon Rule, which means that localities can't even declare themselves sanctuaries right now because local laws cannot do anything to contradict state law. So we're really talking about the need for state-level policy change as well as a federal change before we can truly have meaningful local change. Who's ready to march? All right, we're going to gather together. How do we do? Stand up like that. Let's march.
take this time to meet your neighbor, to share some words of what sanctuary means to you, to share some words of what sanctuary means to your family and your community. At this time, turn around to your neighbor and say hello, and learn how you can make sanctuary together.
Living in fear. Those who are afraid that for their safety they have put others in danger. Give them grace this night to know that they have trusted their government when their government made a promise. And help us to be people who hold the government to that promise. Give us courage. Give us wisdom for these days, that we might be hands and feet of God, bringing about a just society in God's name.
Majesty of space and time, pervasive force of the cosmos, source of life, spirit of us all. My tradition calls you the uplifter of the downtrodden. And we pray tonight that you give us the strength and the ability to join you in that task of lifting up those who are down. Our tradition calls you the Redeemer of the oppressed. And we pray for your guidance tonight to help redeem those who are oppressed. Our tradition calls you one who is faithful and true. And so we pray that tonight you give us the courage and the ability to remain faithful and true. To remain true to our promises, to remain faithful to our neighbors, to remain steadfast in support of those who require our support. My tradition calls you the one who overturns oppressors and destroys oppressive regimes, who softens hardened hearts, and who makes those who are obstinate listen. And so we pray that this evening you give wisdom and the capacity to change and the vision of justice to those who lead our society, because we know exactly what happened today. What happened today was an act of cowardice on behalf of a person who is purportedly the most powerful person in the world, who is nevertheless wounded and threatened, and in order to shore up the support of his most hardened base, appealed to their basest instincts and attacked in full frontal assault the most vulnerable in our society. We pray that you turn his heart. We pray that you turn the hearts of those in elected office who have the capacity to overturn this decision and transform the trajectory of this nation. We pray for the soul of this nation. We pray for the soul of our elected leaders. And we pray for the souls of our fellow men and women of this country who can call, write, email, sit in, demand a change of pace in the halls of power in our country. We demand a change. We need a change. Because this country was built on the backs of those who today are now threatened with deportation. Those who have done nothing wrong, who have committed no crime, other than to have in their hearts the dream that we all share and that brought almost all of our ancestors to these shores at one point or another. The dream of a better life, the dream of prosperity, the dream of freedom. God, we pray that you restore that dream of freedom, that you enable those who are tonight once again threatened and cast back into the shadows, who are scared for their well-being, who are scared for their lives, who are scared for their families, that you bring them back from degradation to dignity, that you bring them back from fear to hope, that you bring them back from despair to uplift, that you redeem our country from the pit of oppression to the mountain of justice and peace. We pray that you bring us back from darkness to light. We pray that you restore our dream and our dreamers. Amen. So the Book of Psalms, which is a central book of prayer of my faith tradition, the Jewish faith tradition, and I know many others, has this powerful line. It says in Hebrew, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that we will build this world with love. And we know tonight, in this moment of fear and anxiety and hate, that the way forward, the way to rebuild our community, the way to rebuild our society, the way to restore the promise of America is to rebuild with love. So there is a melody to that line with its English translation as well that a colleague of mine, Rabbi Menachem Creditor, who's in the San Francisco Bay Area, put together. I'm going to lead us in it tonight. It's got one Hebrew part. That's going to be the hard part, I think. And then the English part, which is going to be easier. The melody should be easy, except for I'm kind of tone deaf, so we'll just have to do the best we can. So it goes like this. I'll sing it once, and then I'll lead us in it, okay? The Hebrew words, but just to repeat after me, the Hebrew words are Olam, Chesed, Yibaneh, which means we will build this world with love, okay? So that's the Hebrew words, and the English words go like this. We will build this world with love. I will build this world with love. You will build this world with love. And if we build this world with love, then God will build this world with love. Okay, the only other words are yananai, nananai, nanai, okay? So that's easy, right? So it goes like this. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, excellent. Yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. I will build this world with love. Yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. You will build this world with love. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. And if we build this world with love, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai, then God will build this world with love. Yadadai, dai, dai, da, da, dai, dai. One more time. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam I will build this world with love. You will build this world with love. If we build this world with love, then God will build this world with love. Tonight, love wins. Love trumps hate.
Does anybody else have anything you'd like to share tonight about Sanctuary, about our communities?
Good evening, everyone. What we have to recognize is that tonight, the very reason why a lot of people flee here is not necessarily because they're trying to achieve the American dream, but because they're trying to escape that American nightmare that we have wrecked across in their land. All the things that we have done to our fellow human beings in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Mexico, Colombia, those are the main reasons why they come here, to escape the things that we have done to them. And so it's up to us to remember the call of Martin Luther King Jr. when he said that we are called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for the victims of our nation, and for those that this nation is called enemy. And I am sick and tired of seeing my fellow human beings across this world being called the enemy just because they want to live a life of dignity and love from birth until death like we all want to. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, we must come together to challenge our government by any means necessary to get them to stop this monopoly on violence that we continue to wreck across the world. Until we do that, then everything that we're doing right now, quite frankly, is in vain. Thank you.
State of freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was state of freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, and it was